On page 89, we have two short works by the Spanish guitar composer from the Baroque era, Gaspar Sanz. He wrote for a relative of the modern guitar called the Baroque guitar. It had a different tuning and sounded different from the modern instrument, but fortunately for us, his music sounds great on the modern guitar. The first piece is titled Mariana. You'll notice that it's in 3/4 time. You'll also notice that there are no sharps and flats in the key signature and no accidentals, so there are no sharp or flat notes in this piece. So we start out with 2 beats of pickup. So we have 4 eighth notes at the beginning that lead us into the first beat. And this would be characteristic of a dance. So we kind of want to make these 4 eighth notes very light and direct them into the next beat. This texture is 2-part. We have a top voice and a bottom voice, and there's some interplay between them. If we were to play just the stems going up from the beginning, we would have this. 2, 3, rest, 2, 3, 1, 2. That would be just the top voice for the first line. The bottom voice would be this. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. And when we put them together, there's this interesting interplay. That line would repeat. The second line has the same texture. The top part is actually a little more active, with the bass part being a little bit more stagnant. We have as a top part, and as a bass part. And when we put them together, we get that interplay. And that line repeats as well. Work on each line individually and work on each voice separately and then put them together. The second piece, Danza de las Hachas, the hatchet dance, is a very famous piece. It's actually used by the 20th century composer Joaquin Rodrigo in his guitar concerto, Fantasy for a Gentleman. It's one of the later movements. Very, very interesting piece. This incorporates some bar chords. So we start out right away with our F chord, and what we notice is the top voice stays stagnant at first while the bass moves, and then in the last 2 measures that kind of flips. So we have a repeat, this basically uses a D minor chord, an A7 chord, an A major chord, and a C chord. So it uses chords that we're very familiar with, but kind of bundles them up and uses a right-hand pattern that adds this interesting melody.